All right, Mom, the time's here. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready. You
Our
ready?
first episode, yes.
Yes, I'm
Count
so
us
excited.
down.
5, 4,
Three,
2,
two,
1.
one.
Hey everybody! I'm your girl, Sister Goose,
And I am Sugar Mama.
and we are
Black Girls Inc.
And I want to introduce our first guest today, our author, Keisha Khi'Ryn. Hey!
I
I'm
was
so
not here.
yes. We snap here, girl.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to have you on our show as our first guest.
YouTube.
I'm
It
honored
means
to be here.
yes, it
Thank you for
means
that.
a lot to me. I had to say a few good words about you today to let people know why I chose you first. This girl is my role model.
Oh,
Okay.
don't make me
I
cry. Just go
remember,
ahead.
yes, I remember when she was starting her short stories and stuff on Facebook, and I told her how I was writing books, and she encouraged me to go ahead and go for it and told me the steps to do it. And
Absolutely.
that right there is a real example of a black woman helping another black woman
Yeah.
come up. Because you didn't have
Absolutely.
to do that. You know what I mean? So I thank you for inspiring me to put my book out there too. So snaps to
See you.
you.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. I can't count how many people inbox me and be like, "Hey, I want to start this or I want to do that," and I always try to give the best advice that I can or my experiences. So I'm all for Black women, especially
Yeah.
succeeding and doing what they love to do, because sometimes what we love to do is not what everybody else thinks is cool, and I feel like writing has always been something for me that I love to do, and even though nobody around me was doing it and a lot of people around me were readers, I went ahead and I took a leap of faith and I did it anyway.
And girl, you did that. Let's get into it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So please tell everyone the title of your book and what it is about.
Okay, so my first book, The Only One I Trust. This is my
Yes.
baby. Oh my God, this is my baby. I literally worked so hard trying to get this book published. And it's basically about this girl named Kalea Banks. She meets this wonderful guy, Harlem Turner. And basically, in the beginning of the book, you guys are getting to see just how much of a great, wonderful, amazing guy he is. And just like any other relationship, he turned out not to be what she expected, but not like normal relationships. He crazy. He turned out to be a
All
monster.
right.
But she goes through so much physical abuse, mental abuse, and just basically trying to still love him and find the good in him, like most women do. We try to keep
Mm-hmm.
finding the good in the man, even though every God could put a sign in front of us and say,
Mm-hmm.
"Leave him, girl. He is about to shoot you," and you will still be like, "Well, he ain't never really pulled no gun out on me." Like that's just us as
Mm-hmm.
women. So for me, I wrote on it not even on the experience because I hadn't yet went through an experience like that when I wrote the book.
Okay. Okay.
It's mighty funny how when I after I wrote it, I started experiencing things
Mm-hmm.
that manner. So sometimes you gotta be careful what you write now.
Yeah.
You ain't never lied.
Yeah.
You ain't
Yeah.
never lied.
Sometimes you can write some shit into existence.
Right? God was preparing you for something, but
Yeah,
you thought
and
you
that's
was
the
writing
book.
it for
I'm like
somebody
my
else.
Mm-hmm.
character. I was probably a little still more dumb than her. You never, it's just like what they say from the outside looking in, somebody's able to tell you exactly what you're going through and, what they think. But when you're living in it, it's different. And that's
Yeah.
why I learned to stop judging certain situations and saying certain things, especially to other women about their relationships, because when you're in it, it's totally different from somebody saying it.
Right. Right.
It really is.
It is.
Man, look, I love your book. Okay. I remember when you did the short stories to it, I was already captured. Whenever she was coming on the show and stuff. I normally try not to read the book before I interview people because I'm doing it like the audience. I didn't read it. I'm asking you like somebody who's trying to buy your book, but I
Right.
had to read a little bit of it anyway. I'm halfway through. Sorry.
Well, you know
uh,
what's so funny about that is when I first got published and I sent the short story because I hadn't yet done the novel. So when I
mhm.
sent the short story to my publisher, she was like, you know what? I don't even care that this is not a novel. I want to publish the short story. It's so good. I'm willing to publish it how it is. And I was like, no, please just let me do what I want to do to it or work on it the way I work on it. And I hear that a lot, so I appreciate that.
Yes. So I have to ask you, what do you want everyone to get out of your book after they read it? Like, what do you want them to walk away with?
For women,
Mm-hmm.
especially, I really want them to walk away with that it's okay to love somebody and realize that they're no good for you. It's
Okay.
Right.
okay to be so in love with somebody and realize that sometimes love is just not enough
Hmm.
and it's not healthy. So like when you're in a toxic love, it's not healthy. And I don't want to give it away because you haven't read the end of it yet either, but
Yeah, don't give it.
you're not I don't think as a reader, some readers are not going to grasp the meaning behind it. They're just going to get the end and be like, this bitch. I told you yesterday. Like, but yeah, what I really that's really what I want them to get from it. That it's okay to love somebody wholeheartedly, be in love, but sometimes you gotta realize when love is just it's not going to keep you together. And
Yeah.
I experienced that as a child with my mother and my father. They loved the hell out of each other. But Whitney and Bobby, let me tell you something. Y'all should have not been together. Nice to it. So I think that's where I was going when I wrote it. And as when I write short stories, I kind of never have a what do I want them to get from this moment? Because when I'm doing short stories, I'm doing it just based off of what comes to my head and how I write it, and it just comes and it just flows. But this one was a little more different, especially me
Okay.
experiencing some of the things I wrote. It was like, yeah, girl, know yourself, know your worth.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I look, let me tell you something. The reason I like your book is because like you said, first of all, it's so real.
Thank you.
When I read about your book, I think about that dumb dude that I was with for years and I just couldn't let him go. And he kept just doing messed up stuff to me and I know I was being a stupid girl, but I loved him and I was willing to put up with it.
We all do.
And I thought I could change him. You know how we
Exactly.
get like that. I could change him. My love is enough to change him,
It's gonna be
and ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing
different.
different.
Yeah.
No, it was not. And he's still the same person he always was. He was just like this the whole time. And I'm going like this, trying to bring him up with me, but he's dragging me back down. And it
So
was
now
just
you're stuck in a place that you don't want to be because yeah, and that's don't say like, oh, I was a stupid girl. No woman walking this earth can sit here and tell you that she hasn't experienced that kind
We
of
all
love.
did.
We all
We all
go through
did.
that. We all just want to love somebody so much that he wake up one day and be like, you the one, you the one. And
yes.
it's just not that. So,
Yes. And I just knew he was, but you know what? I had to let him go to find the man I am with now. Because I'm telling you, Keisha, when I was done with him, I was done with them all. I said, I'm done.
with men
I'm
here.
done. I'm single
Yeah.
for life. Don't
And
talk to me.
you know what amazes me? Like even in the story where she just goes through a lot and still trying to keep her love for him, still trying to keep the 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 image or the perception that she had of him in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that as being in that situation that us as women, when we love somebody, we're definitely willing to put up with anything. Like while after I had wrote the book before it got published, I was in a relationship and I have a lot of similarities to my character, Leia. And he went and made a baby on me. And there was a point in time I was still like, well, we're gonna love the baby. Like me and you, we're gonna love the baby. And then it just got to a point where in a relationship, one day I just woke up and was like, bitch, if you don't leave this
Yes, I know what you mean. I know. Oh my
bitch, if you
goodness.
don't get your shit together.
I know just what you mean. Look, let's talk about your writing style. Okay. Your writing style is dope. Okay. And the reason why I say it's dope, I don't say it's good, I say it's dope. Because this girl give me like two different personalities. You talk like a straight up dude when you doing the dude's part. I be thinking, yo, that's really a dude talking. The way he talked, the way he cussed, the language. I'm just like, that's a straight up dude. How she got this dude talking? And I just be like, yo, Keisha got some gangster up in her. She just ain't telling everybody she got all that up in her. She got some gangster up in her. Y'all better not mess with her, okay? Because the
Okay.
way
I don't think it's gangster in me. I could say that I grew up in the hood. Two hoods, if I had to be exact. So, and
right,
I grew up in a two-parent household. It may not have been a healthy two-parent household, but my dad was very big on me learning how men think and trying to basically prepare me for the games men will play with women and
mm-hmm.
how they'll say it. They'll make it sound so good. A man can make him saying, bitch, I'm about to kill you sound so good. And you be, just kill me, daddy. Just all stupid. So it's just like
I know what you
me,
mean.
yeah, growing up, I listen, I'm a big listener, period.
Mhm.
And I've listened to how other women and men engage with each other. And it's just like, he's, yeah. So it's kind of something that rubbed off on me coming into my teenage years, coming into my adulthood, and then me myself experiencing men and how they can make stuff sound so good and how they can make things sound so horrible. So a lot of my writing does come from experience, even if it's not my personal experience. I kind of know what to expect when I'm going into certain situations or when I see certain situations happening.
Mhm.
So that's where that comes from. And everybody says, like, oh, you be making me think like you know Harlem or Harlem's a real person. And it's just like,
Girl.
no.
Cause I be ready to see Harlem like where you at? Where you
Where
at, Harlem? Cause I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Look, we need to snap for her the way she
Mm.
writes, man.
thank
Keep
you.
it up, girl. Keep it up.
Thank
So
you.
can you please tell us when did you fall in love with writing?
When I was about 6 years old,
Mm,
I my childhood was terrible. And a lot of my writing and why when I first came out, everybody was like, so like you haven't wrote before? And it's like not publicly, not professionally, but I've been doing it so long because writing became an escape for me of reality. I could make my life whatever I wanted it to be. I could write it whatever, however I wanted it to be. And it took me away from a lot that I was going through and being subject to go through. And I feel like even when I fell off from writing, because once I hit my teenage years, and everybody says like teenage years, you're still under the control of your parents. But once I hit my teenage years, I was like gone. Like, oh, I don't got to deal with this no more. I don't got to be subject to this anymore. I'm getting the hell out of here. And
right.
that was what, so when I did fall off of writing, I didn't pick it back up until after I had my son. Because even in middle school, I had wrote my very first book out by hand, and it was like 100 pages, front to back, like literally. And it was so good. And I was like maybe 14, Yep, I was like 14 when I wrote that, and I had let my friend read it, and
Mm-hmm.
she let somebody else read it, and then somebody else wanted to read it, and to the point it got passed around the school, and then it got confiscated from actually my English teacher. So I was the kind of kid that I came to school just because my mom made me come to school. I'm not going to make it seem like I was a grade 8 student because I wasn't. And a lot of me going to school was me running from what was going on at home. So when my teacher finally got the book and she read it, she was like, this is something you need to actually pursue. I forgot that you were 14 and you wrote this book.
Mm.
Like she was like, I forgot that I was reading it from a kid. I was reading it like that.
Right?
It's just always been something that was in me. So after I had Kyron and I didn't have nothing to do, they had a short story challenge on Facebook, and I wrote my first short story, which was called the Sin Santana series. And the internet
Mm.
liked it so much that I ended up doing like 6 parts to the series. I mean, I wrote
Wow.
every day for 3 months straight just to please my audience. And then I got
Wow.
burnt out.
Yes. Girl, snap.
you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Snap. Look. For me, when with writing, mine was different than yours because yours was like an escape. Mine was my like staying in my imaginary secret place because I liked it to play imaginary.
Right.
And when I got to a certain age, like me and my cousin did it, and then summer came again, and I think we was about 12, 13.
Mhm.
She didn't want to do it no more. She's like, we're too old to be playing imagination. What are you doing? And I'm like, okay, but I still wanted to play. I just kept having the imagination thing in me.
Mhm.
So I wrote my imaginations down and turned them into stories. And
And
I did just like you in high school. Like when I was with my boo thing or whatever, I wrote a story of how I wish we could be. You know what I'm saying? And I let my friends read it, and they did the same thing you said. They passing it around, and I'm like, "How you got my stuff? Oh, such and
see,
such
back
gave it to me.
then,
But
they
give
were
my
just
stuff
passing the book around. So when I got
back."
to the point where
Exactly.
I started writing for Facebook, I never, and I say this all the time, when I wrote my first part to the short Sin Santana series, I never, ever in a million years expected it to go viral. How it did. Like never. And it just, I woke up the next day and I literally had 200 Facebook notifications to the point my Facebook kept crashing. I had to make a new Facebook, and then Facebook shut the page down because they didn't know where all this traffic was coming from. And then it got to the point I had a Facebook group that was like 5,000 active members, like 5,000 people reading my stuff from all over the world. And I think where it got to me and where I felt like, oh, this is something I really, really want to do was when I seen that there were people all the way in Africa and in
Wow.
Europe and just all over the place really reading my stuff.
Oh,
And it
snap.
was like, okay, I might really want to do this. And then I made a group to where they had to pay to get in, and I lived off of that money for a year. So I was just like,
Get
oh
it,
well,
girl.
I need to really write. I can make money from it
Get it,
too. Virtue.
girl. Yes. And I know, look, I enjoyed when we was reading your short stories. I would wait, and she would put the time. I'd be like, yes, I'm gonna read it. I'm reading that.
So I knew I
I'm
had
reading
something special when I had killers and drug dealers like, hold on, we're gonna have to catch that nigga at 7. She about to drop this thing at 6. I was like, oh wow.
Yes, you are really gifted. You
Oh,
really
thank
are.
you. Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. I really, really am. Girl, go ahead. This is an example of sisters encouraging sisters, black women encouraging each other.
I can't
Get
wait
it,
to read something
girl.
from you, girl. I can't wait to see your name on the front of a book. And let me tell you, this feeling is something you'll never feel. When I first held my book and see my name on the front of this book, I was like, bitch, you did that. Yes, you
Girl,
did. It's
look,
a whole
girl,
different kind of feeling.
girl, I did it. I
Oh my
did.
gosh.
I did it.
Oh my goodness. And it
Yes,
probably felt amazing.
it did. And my audience are a little different than yours
Ruth,
because we
volume
all
one.
get our own different audience. And mine's is
Absolutely.
church. Yeah, mine's is church people because I
Okay.
write Christian fiction.
I wanted
You
to
put it
dip
down
and
now,
dab
Mom.
into Christian writing. I did.
Yes,
I had a good church scandal
yes.
story.
So, so I do Christian fiction. I don't really cuss in there and stuff and put like sexual stuff and all that in it because I'm trying to make it where they can do book clubs in church
Right.
and
And
read the book
not
because of the
uncomfortable.
pandemic.
Right.
And I've been doing really good with that. Like I had people hit me up and saying how much they love my story. I'm like, oh wow. Somebody called me crying and stuff. So, and like I said, you're part of the reason. I have to thank you for that because
Thank
you
you.
encouraged me and helped me to do it. So I
I'm
thank
so happy
you.
I could be that person. That's an amazing feeling for me because it's just like I've always said that, like, even if my writing doesn't go where I really want it to go, I'm grateful if there was at least one or two people that can say, "Well, you inspired me to do this." So that hits me here. Thank you, and I'm not gonna cry on your podcast.
Don't cry, but you can cry later.
Yeah,
You
cheers to
can
you.
cry. Look, cheers to you.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, so then look, that brings me to my next question because you held the book, hold it again, and tell us how did you feel when you got that first copy in your hand with your name on it, with your words in the book? How did you feel, Keisha?
I felt overwhelmed and scared. I was scared because it's like, yeah, I was able to keep 5,000 people entertained, but what about the world now? You know what I mean? Like, what are they going to say? What are they going to think? And is it going to sell? And the beauty of it is that I literally got the case. I held my book. I probably shed a few tears over my book. And then I opened the other case on live. And before the live ended, because in the caption I had got my Cash App name, I told them, like you can pre-order this way, that way. And before I got even off of live, my book, my both cases, all 50 books sold out.
I remember that. I saw your post. It's
Literally.
like, oh,
It,
I'm out, y'all. I gotta get
it was
more.
it
Sorry.
was amazing. I had never, and it was so funny because I was sold out of the 50, but the cash apps and the people that were still like, "Well, I don't care that you don't get no books right now. Still come get my money." So when you get another case, I literally was giving out pre-orders for 2 months before I got caught up
Oh
to not
wow.
owing anybody anything or not. Yeah, that's I by hand. I've sold over 350 copies by hand.
Wow.
Wow. Look, I know somebody famous, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
I know somebody famous.
So do I. So do I.
Look, she said, so do I.
I am
Listen,
too.
I was amazed, especially when I had to start mailing them and I would see the addresses and the zip codes and the different states on them. I'm like, bitch, you really a writer.
Right?
That's how it
Right?
hits you. Like, oh, people really actually are interested. And then it only takes what, one or two people from another state to buy your book before there are so many other people like, hey, how do I get your book? Where can I get the
Hmm.
book? I can't tell you how many times I had to direct somebody to Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or Goodreads because I just didn't have them on hand.
Yeah, that's because
So
they wanted that signature in that book. They said, we
Mm-hmm.
need it from you. We need a signature. So I can prove that I got the book from the author.
Mm-hmm.
Put your signature on it.
yeah, I sign all my books, all of them. And I'm not one of them. Hey, you can't pay for my signature. If you get a book from me, you get a sign. I even had people order their books from Amazon or somewhere else. And recently I just found out that I'm in Target. You know, I'll get
Get
my book in
oh,
Target.
hold up. Shares. That's more than a snack.
Yeah.
She's in Target.
I
I
am
know
in
somebody
Target.
famous, y'all.
I just found that out. Look, I found that out sometime this summer. I was sitting in my friend's backyard, and her aunt was texting me about my book, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just go. I was like, oh well, we'll pull it up, and I pulled it up for her. But it's on my Google because I got certified on Google, which I didn't know
Period.
until I did, and I had the opportunity to claim my own knowledge panel, which means that these next couple months I should have a Wikipedia page. So I was like, I'm on my way, y'all.
Wow,
Take
you
it back.
have a Wikipedia page.
I'm on my way.
Okay.
I claimed my knowledge panel. What it is when you claim a knowledge panel, you have to send your identification, um, and like your personal Instagrams and Facebooks and websites and stuff like that. So I just recently claimed my knowledge panel. They kept bothering me about it. At first, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what they were emailing me about. I'm like, I don't know what the hell that is. And then my publisher was like, "Girl, that is so people can Google you."
Period. That's
So
what's up.
yeah.
Man, Keisha, you getting it out of here, girl.
I'm trying. I feel
Remember,
like I'm
look,
doing all of this and I'm not
re-
really saying the money I want to say, but then I had to realize, well, last year you blew through that money, baby. And you got to do something else now.
look, I'm letting you know when you make it big, still come on here and do an interview. We want
Absolutely.
you.
I feel like this is my very first podcast. I did get invited to do somebody else's podcast. Keisha. Oh, God. Give me one
Do what you got to.
second. So it's
You
like,
know.
I'm like, hold on. But,
Oh no, we get it. We get it. Trust me, we get it.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish
oh,
what you're
God.
saying.
I did get invited to do somebody else's podcast, but this is my first one. So when I feel like this is your first, what is it? You getting on
YouTube.
YouTube and stuff now. So I feel like
Mhm.
this is somewhere I'm always going to want to come back to, especially when I drop my second book. I'm definitely going to want to come back here
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
so
listen
I'm
in.
look, I'm glad
Yeah.
you said that because look, now I'm about to get all up in your business
Mhm.
Oh well, look, I'm ready.
because I need to know what is next for Keisha. What is next for you, honey? What you working on?
Okay, so recently, at the beginning of the year, I always try to do a short story for Facebook every year, seeing as that that's where I started. And even though I don't have the time to do it like I used to, every year I try to do a short story. And it's been successful so far. So this year, in 2020, I wrote a short story called Suck My Dick. And it's nothing at all what the title says. And when I dropped it, I expected it not to really be that much of a hit because all my fans really liked the Sin Santana story. They liked the action, the just the moving and shaking that my main character was doing. But Suck My Dick was such a success. It ended up being 20 parts. I damn near gave them a novel. Okay, damn near.
Dang.
Yeah, it ended up being 20 parts long. And to the point, it's so deep and twisted that it has to be a trilogy. So
Mm.
my first book that I'm trying to drop. This I want to do it before the end of the year. I'm just not sure if I'm going to get there because I'm trying to self-publish this one. I don't want to go through a publisher, and I don't want my book to be available for e-reading. I want copies straight. I want hand to hand straight. If you don't get it from me, I don't know where you're gonna get it. So it's a longer process than I expected, and it's a little more expensive than I expected. But I'm going to get there, and if not before the end of the year, definitely in the beginning of 2021. Suck My Dick will
That's
be up.
that.
And I
Look,
want to open my own publishing company. That's
and
like
you need, I was about to say that to you. You need to do that.
I
You
want
really
to. I
do.
can't tell you how many people inbox me like, "Hey, I've been writing and I want to get published." And I wish I had the company to be like, "Oh, you want to get published? Well, come over here and sign with me." And I already know what I want my company to be named. I already know that I don't want a gender limit on it. Like I want anybody, no matter what you do. If you want to publish with me, I want to be able to sign. Like I want to sign people that are good in horror, um, sci-fi, nonfiction, fiction, fantasy, anything. Not just me, because I'm more of an urban literature writer, and that just comes from it just being in me. But I do have a need to want to expand my writing and do a little more than that. Poetry's never really been my thing. I can write it, but it's just not.
That's me too. I love poetry, but I cannot write
And
it.
I
But
love to, and I had the experience to be able to go to a poetry club that we have here in Pittsburgh, and I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me, but I remember loving the experience, loving the energy, and I wanted to be like, oh, I want to get up there and do that too, but I'm like, Keisha, poetry's really not your thing. Stay in your lane.
yeah, well, girl, your lane is good. So let's not act like it ain't. You cool in your lane. You doing all right with me.
I'm
So
trying.
look, we about to do something on our show that my mom loves to do. So yeah, go ahead and sip your drink because we about
Oh
to go
God.
there.
Oh
Tea
God.
time. Yes, so tea time is when we make up a question that's based off of the author's book or their character or a phrase that their book says or even the author themselves. So you ready to do tea time with us, girl?
I am so ready for tea time. I love tea.
Yes. So the tea time question of the day is tell a moment you thought you could trust someone, but they was the wrong person.
Mm.
So tell a moment in your life where you thought you could trust someone, but they was the wrong person. So Sugar Mama, you want to go first? Cause look, I'm asking her
Yeah.
because she always be ready. She be like, I'm
I
gonna
do.
go.
I'm just getting mine out there.
Get it out
No.
there.
I just say I ain't. I won't even put no name. So I'll just tell you the situation. Sometimes you get in situations where maybe this bill was getting cut off or something. Money was low, whatever, and I'm gonna pay for it. And I happen to have a friend. I was like, you know what? Can I borrow such and such off for you for this? And they totally made how you think. Well, we cool, so I can ask them that. You know what I'm saying? And they totally made me feel this big. And I was like, you know what? Never mind. Sorry.
Mm,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Can be the
it
and
was definitely shady.
People be
and then
good
and
low
then look,
down,
the person
period.
that I would and then you know what after that I wouldn't ask somebody who I never would have thought I would ask, but I asked them anyway, and he just said yes.
Yes, you did.
Invite it to me.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was like,
It's
dang,
always the people that are closest to you that can make you feel this big.
yeah.
The
I was
person
like,
that you love
really?
the most that can make you
It
feel
was
like,
it
oh,
was it was
God damn,
terrible.
she really feel about me. You know what I mean?
It was
But
terrible. It almost had me in tears. It was terrible,
ugh,
terrible.
I'm so sorry. And
Yeah.
we all have
Mm-hmm.
people like that, but I feel like for me, it started super early.
Mhm.
Um, the first person that I can think of that I trusted with my life that let me down and was my dad. My father. Whew, I can't even. But I
Okay.
feel like I expected way more from him as my father, as my dad, and I
Mhm.
expected a different kind of love from him
Mm-hmm.
that I
Mm-hmm.
never really got.
Mm-hmm.
And um, to feel protected is where I
Yeah.
feel like he failed me at. To feel like you should be my face front. That's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I am you, you are me. You should be. If I'm here, you need to be here, damn near. Like you
Right.
gotta be. You need to be right here, and he
Right.
wasn't. He wasn't that. So
Right.
it's like it started so young for me. I was about 5 when I felt that heartbreak, that
Hmm.
disappointment.
Mhm.
That he's really not my superhero. You know what I mean? So it definitely has a lot to do with who I am today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely feel for you on that because me, I was a lucky one. I know what it's like to have a dad that does exactly what you said,
Mm-hmm.
and that's right there in the front line. So I totally understand what you mean, but I was lucky enough to have one, so I feel bad when I hear women like you and girls like you feel that way because I wish I could have what I had.
Right.
You know?
I'm one of them. I've always been that type of person. I things happen to me, and I'm very forgiving. I'm
Yeah.
very push it in the back of my head and act like it never happened. So
Mm-hmm.
as I got older, and I was able to express to him that I didn't really feel how a daughter should feel with their father. I'm not going to say he made it better, but he made me understand
Mm-hmm.
a
Yeah.
little more better of why I felt this way. So it's no regrets. It's no hate. When he passed away, I cried like any other person.
Mm-hmm.
And still the same, no matter what he did or didn't do. I still loved him like he was Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And I still had these big expectations of him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I'm not one of the people who let things happen to me change the way that I love. And I think
That's
that's my
right.
weakness. I think that's my problem. I let people show me who they are at least 1,000 times before I believe them. And
Mhm.
that's where I downfall at.
Yeah. Um, my moment, I would look. I had to think for a while because don't we all have many, you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
Um, mine was with a person that I love dearly. I took them in as a family member. I loved them as a sibling, and they put me in a predicament that I thought I would never be in.
Mm.
And when you go for someone's kid,
Oh,
you
that's a
definitely
different
cross
ballgame.
you
Woo.
cross the line when you
Mm,
go for someone's kid. Because me as a mother, and I'm sure you understand you as a mother,
mm,
I would never, no matter how much beef me and you had, Keisha, even if we disliked each other, want to kill each other, I would still never do anything to go for your kids to get to
right.
you because that affects your children.
That's
I'm a
just
mother
mm,
too. I wouldn't do that. And that's what someone did to me.
mm,
And it broke me. And
mm,
I mean, it literally broke me where I was just like, seriously, I'm in this situation right now. Now, luckily, I got out that situation because everything you said was a lie. It
mm.
was not true.
Mm-hmm.
But what I hate about myself is that after that person did that to me,
They weren't even
I still
remorseful.
love them. I
Mm,
still love them because, like you said, that's who I am.
mm.
Now, I'm going to keep my distance from you, but I still love that person. You know what I mean?
I
It's
need
not
to
even,
learn how to do that. I need to
it's
learn
not,
how to
I
let
mean,
somebody do
it's
something
her
to me
fault.
and still
It's,
love them and keep my distance. I don't know how to keep the distance. My thing is, I still want to be around. I still want to love you. I still want to. I have
girl,
a problem.
girl,
I
I
have a
used to be
problem.
that way. I used to be that way until this situation. Because, like I said, when someone comes for your kids in a situation to get at you,
Mm-hmm.
that's something totally different.
And I can relate to that because just literally this past weekend, I actually got into a physical fight with my cousin
Hmm.
because she got on the internet and said something about my son. And it was
Mm,
like, bitch, how dare you? How fucking dare you? Like, this is the person that you are around. You know, you've been around my son. I just love him, Cammy, cat. And how dare you turn around and say something negative about him? So
yeah.
I feel you 100%. And how I am always a lover and forgive people. There's definitely no turning back from that. Like I haven't even spoken to the girl or even looked her way since that because
Yeah.
it's a different level of slime ball to me. It's a different level of
Yeah.
like, girl, you are gutter rat for that,
Hmm.
and that's just there's just no coming back from it.
Yeah. And I just feel like when you break someone's trust like that,
But my
the
kid is
people who
different.
are on the outside just don't even try to get in because you don't know how that person's feeling that got broken in the trust.
Hmm.
You don't know what that person's going through. So don't
Hmm.
expect nobody to make amends with anybody because a trust
Just don't
broken
know.
is something so deep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Like they said, once that trust is broken, you can never get it back. And I believe that. So I just wanted to, that was our tea time question off of your
Mhm.
book.
Mhm.
And see, but
Um,
trust for me, I'm that's where I really do need to really do some searching within myself because I'm not one of those people. I don't I don't when somebody breaks my trust the first time, I'm not the kind of person that is like, oh, you can never get that trust from me twice. I don't do that. And I think that's where my problem lies and why I feel like I put myself in situations that are harmful to me.
yeah,
Because even after you do the most unforgivable thing to me, I still
Mhm.
feel like, oh, I trust you with my life. But you know what? It's a defense mechanism for myself as well because in my household, that's how it was. If it happened yesterday, it was yesterday. We move forward, we
Mhm.
act like it didn't happen.
Right.
And my mom was a big enforcer on what happens in this house stays in this house. And I'll never do that to my son because what happens in this house, if it makes you feel some type of way and you don't feel like I'm going to be receptive, tell somebody. You know that, and I wish I didn't have that mindset when I was growing up. I wish I would have told somebody. I wish I would have
Mhm.
trusted somebody. So I
yeah,
feel like I don't I don't cut the cord when I'm supposed to. I don't
yeah.
take the
But
love away when I'm supposed to.
sometimes it depends too. So,
Yeah.
so let me rephrase that because I'm with you on that too. Like, sometimes we need to cut them
Forgiveness.
off, like I said. But sometimes I say it depends on what the person does. You know what
It
I mean?
does. It does.
Like if
But
somebody says,
I
go
feel
ahead.
like I'm just forgiving all over, not just with men either, in my friendships. You know what I mean? It took me a while to stop being friends with somebody that I was friends with years ago because of I'm big on love and history and memories and how they make you feel in the beginning and
Mhm.
oh well we've been through this, we've been through that. So I'm not gonna let this little thing stand in the way. When in all honesty, a lot of situations or things you run in with people, that is really God's way of saying this person's no good for you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And God is going to keep showing you and showing you and showing you and showing you and allowing you to keep hurting yourself in that situation until you finally see, like, all right, now this ain't it. this
hmm,
can't be it. You know what I mean? I'm doing
yeah.
something wrong. but
It sounds like my mom.
yeah,
That's my mom's favorite phrase. She'd be like, "Some people are meant for a season,
some of it
and
for
some people are meant to last for a lifetime." Just like
and
they
I
said in
feel
the
like
Bible.
I don't know when
Some
to
people you're
say
not
that.
meant to be with at
Yeah,
all.
I don't know when to be like, well, you're a seasonal person because I love so hard and so real because growing up, it was hard to find love around me.
Yeah,
So I pulled in love from anywhere I can get it. So when I tell somebody that I love them, I never say it just to say it. You know what I mean? I don't
exactly.
believe in that. I don't believe in being, oh, this girl, I love. No, like if I really, especially if I tell you to your face, it's one thing over
Hmm.
Facebook for me, like, oh, girl, I love you. You know, you make friendships through social media. That's just that. But
Yeah.
if I tell you to your face, like, I love you, I really love you. Like, this is for real. This is me. I can't even believe you're doing this to me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I don't know how to decipher who's here for a season and who's not. And more than likely, when relationships or friendships fall apart for me, it's not really because I cut it off. It's
Right.
only been a few times in my life. Like my last relationship, I definitely cut that off. After the baby, it was like, girl, wake up. This
I
is
feel
not
you.
it. This man had made a whole baby on you. So very rarely it's me that cuts it. And that's a problem for me.
Well, look, I'm gonna pray for you on it. God's gonna help you through it, girl.
Mhm.
I
Amen.
believe He will. He will deliver her, Lord. Help her to know when
Yes.
somebody's for a season, when to let them go, and when to slam that door.
And
Mhm.
you know
Okay.
what? If I had to be honest with y'all
Change a
and
lot.
myself, if I had to be honest, because sometimes we lie to ourselves.
That's true.
Yes, you're right.
But if I had to be honest with myself, I do know.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm the
I do
same
know.
way. I'm just like you. I know, but I don't want to let go.
Yep,
Just like you
I do
said,
know. It's
but you
the
don't
it's
want to let
sometimes
go.
I let the image or the what I want them to be stick. And I'm like, I can get this person to be this person. Because I'm a Virgo. I'm a healer naturally. It's inside of me. I always attract people that are broken or need someone like me. And then when the curtain closes and everything falls down, I don't have enough to heal myself.
Mm. If you don't sound like me, I tell my mom
Girl.
all the, I tell my mom that all the time. I give so much of myself. I have nothing left for Sister Goose to give to me. I have nothing left. So I know what you mean. So and look, just just hearing like this topic and us talking
Mm-hmm.
about it, it shows you was meant to write this book first.
Right.
Like hearing about your story, hearing about who you are, and us talking about this topic, it was meant for you to write this book first, for real,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
real.
I always say God is going to put you exactly where He wants you to be when He needs you to be there. And I feel like even though the only one I trust wasn't the ideal book that I wanted to release as my first book ever, it turned out to be such a blessing for me. And it made me realize that I can really do anything that I put my mind to and that I'm powerful within myself. And
Mm,
that word manifestation, let me tell you something. When you manifest something, it has no choice but to
right?
become the flower that you are feeding and putting in and